few weeks, months. I mean, in a time where he's usually, a championship wrestler himself, preparing for, I guess, this next tournament play. I mean, what kind of impact has he made on your room, and what have you seen from him? Since the day Sammy committed, we saw his leadership qualities. Sammy's a people person. He loves the sport deeply. He's been a team guy since day one. The first year he won the Big Tens on the Big Ten Network, he stated, this is the place to be, right? So he understands the big picture of recruiting the right people and getting the right people. This incident has only, I would say, revealed more about who he is and what he stands for and how he does things. He's been alongside these guys every step of the way this year. He's traveling with us, coming to events. He's back on the mat wrestling. He's in the huddles at the end of a practice. He spends time with guys one-on-one. He's just a good leader, really good leader. Is part of you shocked that he, returned to the mat so quickly, or was that a part of the plan, or like? I think just some of it from a health standpoint. We didn't know what to expect, right? I mean, the guy's had he had a major surgery on his intestines. He's had surgery on his back. I mean, the fact that he's wrestling is not really a surprise because of his will and his love to wrestle. I know that he told the surgeon that if I've got to wrestle on one leg, I'm wrestling again. Like, there's a determination there that nothing will get in the way of. So as grateful we are that he's alive, I'm not surprised that he's engaged the way he has in the sport. It's just like, obviously it's a huge part of who he is, And usually, senior day is kind of, looking back at a career. Yeah. It seems like a lot with Sammy, it's like looking forward to what could be with you guys in his future and things like that. Yeah. Where's his mindset at in terms of just like, getting back to who he was on the mat? Yeah, I mean, he's working extremely hard to be ready next season. There are some things that we don't know might limit him. But what won't limit him is his capacity to suffer and do everything he possibly can to be the best version that he can be, maybe with a really good leg and a leg that's not as good as he wants it. But he's working really hard, and his plan's to be back.
Tom, I'm going to ask you maybe a toughie. Let's go back to August. What was that night like for you?
It's I've dealt with nights of complete disbelief in my life, and it was just one of those surreal moments. This can't be real. I was with a couple of friends at someone's house for dinner, and my phone kept vibrating, and it was my boss. It was Carrie at the time, Carrie Hoyt, and she said, "You got to call me immediately." And right away, I was get from the table and get to the hospital and get more news, and of course, call his mom and dad once I had enough news to let them know. It's still new. It's still new. When you have something like that hit your program, hit you personally, you need time on your side, and we've got some time, but not enough. So and of course, as you move through the season, when we wrestled Penn State the other night, in the locker room, he said, "You guys have no idea, right? No idea how badly I want to walk out and wrestle for this team and side by side with you guys." So there are benchmarks throughout your season and we're coming up to the Big Tens, where he's been in the finals 4 times and won it twice. And then, so there's a constant walk through this first year of moments where he had planned big things to happen. So, but we're with him, we're alongside him, we're hoping for the best, that he's back to himself next year.
I'm going to ask him this question too, but I'll ask you. He's such a competitive guy. Obviously, that's been a big part of wrestling. But coming back to it, has it been maybe kind of cathartic for him? A little bit more normalcy? Does that make sense?
I think if there's such a I mean, there's no question that when you're in the middle of something like this, you struggle to find the deep learning. But time is your friend, and you kind of reflect back and wow, I've really transformed. And I think he's in the midst. We're seeing him transform. As much as he was a leader he is, he's been able to really take a step back and find even deeper gratitude for what he does have. And it's been a pretty amazing thing to see him refine himself, because we all need refining, no matter how refined we think we are. And this has really been interesting and really cool to watch.
My last one, pure wrestling question. Is
Yeah.
it that the leg right now that is the huge
Yeah.
issue? Can you kind of explain?
Yeah. So it would be just your brain telling your body to move in a certain way, and some of those highways right now look like they're lined with honey, right? They're just not smooth. He's telling it to do something, and it can't do it the way he wants it to. But as we all know, through a lot of repetition, refined, deliberate practice, you can reestablish these super highways. And he had super highways. His highways were lined with grease, right? Grease lightning, right? So his goal is to get back to that part of his body moving the way he wants it to move.
So out of 100, where is he?
I'd probably say he's probably probably 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, he's wrestling. I mean, he can wrestle. And I think what happens, I've never had something like that, so I don't know what it's like experiencing that. But I've seen wrestlers win the Nationals with no legs. Ackerman won it with no legs. They're doing a big movie, which one of our former student athletes is one of the key roles in, on Anthony Robles, who had one leg. He was born with one leg and won the Nationals. And it's an amazing thing to watch someone take something that would be considered a big negative and an ailment and make it a positive. And that's only through years and years and hours of figuring out how you've got to move to make that leg not a disability. And Sammy has a deep enough love for what he's doing to make that happen, right? If you don't love it enough, you're never going to put the time in. But he has a deep love for it, so he'll be here day and night. And that negative, I believe he'll figure out a way to turn it into a positive, or at least manage it in a way that he can score points in a different way than he scored last year.
So you got him penciled in at 157
we don't know. He's lost weight. He lost some muscle and some weight, so he was going to be a 57-pounder. And of course, we've got a really good team, and everyone's back. We got a couple of seniors. We got Hoffman, who's a senior, and Boykin, who's a senior, but the whole team's back. They're young. So he also knows that, we had Patty Gallagher, who's really good, who's a 57, and Dylan D'Amelio's really good. So it's not like he expects a spot to just open for him. He knows he's going to earn it.
You're challenging.
Yeah, it's
Sammy.
a challenging place.
You're challenging Sammy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's okay. Andy, did you want one? Go for it.
Thanks. So, I mean, talk about wrestling on one leg. If that's what he's got to do, then I guess how does that work? I mean, I imagine it's harder to shoot for singles, doubles, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think that the more time you have wrestling with one leg, the more opportunities you have to figure out how to do it. It's not an easy thing to do. But I know that Robles, coming out of high school, was really good. The kid that they're doing a movie on now, who won that with one leg. And I was coaching at the time and didn't recruit him because I just didn't think it was possible, quite frankly, that you could be at the level that we're at with one leg. And I was wrong, right? The guy clearly showed that, in fact, by the end of his career, crowds and fans and spectators were saying it's not fair. He has one leg. His upper body is too strong. He's too big and strong, right? So that's how we flip things around in our minds that we try to justify. But if there's anyone that can figure out how to wrestle with one leg that works the way it should and one that doesn't, Sammy's love for it, I believe, is a great asset.
And I guess the other thing I'm trying to get at is here, how do you coach it? I mean, it's something you've never handled before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that, you talk about the elite in the world at anything that you're doing. If you're a guitar player or a dancer or a swimmer or a wrestler, there's something called deliberate practice, and that's done when no one's looking and you're on your own. And you put minutes in early in the morning before anyone's there, and you put minutes in late at night when no one's around. And I would say that Sammy's got a better chance of figuring this out than any coach. We'll be there to help guide him, but it's going to be his his hours of work when no one's around that'll make the difference here.
So many athletes with specific sports have personalities.
Yeah.
What is it about a wrestler that has made it possible for Sammy to overcome what he's been through? If that question makes sense.
Yeah, and I think on this campus we're really blessed because, we had a football player that tore his ACL a bunch of times and came back, and I don't think it's so specific to, we're talking about a wrestler right now, but there's something about a human being, the will of a human being and the way that we're made, that when you connect to your greater purpose and you find that, anything's possible. And I think that's Sammy's connected. He found the sport of wrestling. And for some, it's whatever other sports are on this campus and around the country. But he definitely is doing something where the line between work and play is non-existent. It's just one and the same, right? And that's kind of where he lives. It's work, but it's not work, and it's play, but it's not play, and it's one and the same. So, yeah, it's fun to be around people like that. The older I get, the younger I get when you hang out with dudes like that. All right, thanks a lot. He should be here any minute. I'm sorry.